Anti-ICE protests are happening just about daily across Metro Atlanta.
We made calls today after new concerns over possible local arrests. College Park's mayor is working on getting answers on reports of ICE activity in her community. Atlanta police say they have no immigration mission. Congressman Buddy Carter is calling for more ICE presence, but DeKalb County commissioners are delaying a vote on removing agents there.
The deadly shootings in Minneapolis have increased the odds of a government shutdown. Some Democrats are now refusing to support funding for the Department of Homeland Security, which includes ICE. Republicans need bipartisan support to keep several key government agencies open. Lawmakers face a midnight Friday deadline, or thousands of government workers could be impacted.
Georgia ranked fourth nationwide for ICE arrests in 2025. There were more than 8,700 arrests. As of late 2025, about 1/3 of those arrests happened by local law enforcement. Those people were detained. The ones who were detained were transferred into ICE custody.
The tensions that boiled over more than 1,400 miles away in Minnesota are now rippling through Georgia's state capital. Tonight, Democrats and Republicans are clashing over rhetoric, responsibility, and constitutional rights, and whether Georgia could be next. Atlanta News First reporter Abby Casoris is live tonight at the state capitol. So, Abby, how deep is this debate going inside that building where you are tonight?
Yeah, lawmakers all back here today, Minneapolis, and what's happening in Minnesota, a big conversation, creating those conversations around public safety, immigration enforcement, and what happens to constitutional rights when there are high tensions.
ICE out! ICE out!
What began as protests over immigration enforcement in Minnesota has turned deadly. VA nurse Alex Pretty was shot and killed during a confrontation with Border Patrol and ICE agents. It's in a Minneapolis neighborhood. Video shows him wrestled to the ground before shots were fired. Less than 3 weeks ago, a few miles away, Renee Good was also killed. Both deaths are under investigation, both captured on video, now spreading nationwide. Those images are now driving fear and outrage at Georgia's capital, with Democrats warning what happened there could happen here.
They're not only targeting sort of criminals or whatever the messaging has been around this, it's clearly been false. They are targeting children, they're targeting families, they're targeting citizens, they're targeting everybody. Without being able to assert our rights, we simply don't have them.
Democrats took to the well, calling what they see a dangerous escalation and accusing ICE of overreach.
Consider joining me on House Bill 470, which affirms that schools, hospitals, and churches are places of refuge, not fear.
On the other side of the hall, State Senator Josh McLaurin introduced a resolution condemning the killing of Alex Pretty, urging lawmakers to protect peaceful assembly and gun rights from federal enforcement abuse.
Just remember that somebody's voice has to be raised for this to stop. Somebody's has to.
Republicans pushed back, warning that heated rhetoric itself could fuel violence. Former law enforcement officer Representative Clint Crow says law enforcement is being unfairly vilified.
When you have people in positions like ours, in positions of leadership, that are, again, dehumanizing and demonizing a group of individuals, and when you create that type of environment, it leads to negative outcomes that are going to get people hurt, not just the officers, but the public that's going out as well.
Outside the political fight, the Georgia Sheriff's Association is working to calm fear, stressing local deputies are not immigration enforcers, even as state law requires coordination with ICE.
Our sheriffs and our police departments and our state law enforcement agencies, they protect each other and they operate by the rule of law.
While protests continue nationwide, Georgia Democrats scheduling their own demonstration and press conference here at the state capitol later this week. Republican leadership not suggesting any changes when it comes to immigration and state law, at least so far this session. Live at the state capitol, Abby Casoris, Atlanta News First.